Parents around the world share a growing, universal anxiety. An entire generation of teenagers is spending their formative years isolated by endless, algorithm-driven feeds. In late 2025, Australia decided to bypass parental controls entirely. They passed a pioneering law that outright bans anyone under 16 from holding a social media account. The policy spread almost immediately. By mid-2026, UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer announced an Australia Plus model, aiming to, in his words, give kids their childhood back. These bans restrict access to the largest communication networks on Earth, blocking minors from TikTok, Instagram, X, and YouTube. Domestically, these measures are overwhelmingly popular. Polling from the UK government shows that 90% of parents support the under 16 ban. A blanket prohibition is highly popular and sounds simple to enforce. But as a policy, it is a blunt instrument on a collision course with the complex engineering reality of the open internet. These laws don't actually penalize teenagers or their parents. Instead, they shift the entire legal burden onto tech companies, forcing them to act as the internet's border police. The financial threats are severe. Under the Australian law, regulators can fine a platform up to $32.2 million if it fails to take reasonable steps to block minors. This introduces a severe architectural flaw. The internet was built to be anonymous. Proving a user's exact age online without introducing massive friction for everyone is practically impossible. Determined teenagers already know how to bypass digital gates. They easily sidestep these blocks using readily available tools like VPNs, account sharing, or spoofed identities. By pushing teens off mainstream platforms, these workarounds will drive them directly into unmoderated, opaque corners of the web, where exposure to harmful content is significantly higher. From a systems design perspective, building a geographic age gate on a borderless internet creates the illusion of a wall while leaving the foundation completely open. To actually verify age and avoid massive fines, tech companies must collect biometric data and government IDs from all users, creating a severe privacy paradox. These mandated databases instantly create high-value targets for hackers to exploit. There is also a safety paradox. When minors browse anonymously to evade age checks, they lose access to built-in parental controls like time limits and content filters that require a logged-in account to function. Child welfare organizations like UNICEF point out another major consequence. Blanket bans isolate marginalized youth. Teenagers in regional areas or LGBTQ+ communities rely heavily on these online forums for identity-affirming support networks they cannot find locally. By attempting to mandate safety from the top down, governments are inadvertently dismantling the existing digital safeguards and lifelines that vulnerable teenagers actually use. Because the platforms targeted by these bans are almost exclusively American, what started as a child protection measure has rapidly morphed into a geopolitical trade dispute. The White House has officially intervened, urging the UK not to implement the ban. They argue it imposes disproportionate compliance burdens that specifically target U.S. companies. The Trump administration has taken an aggressive stance against these regulations, criticizing the use of prescribed one-size-fits-all restrictions on American businesses. Vice President J.D. Vance explicitly criticized the policy, warning that free speech in the UK is in retreat due to what he described as online censorship laws. The broader tech industry now fears regulatory contagion. Similar minimum age bans are rapidly gaining traction in Malaysia, Indonesia, and across the European Union. A domestic effort intended to protect the mental health of children has been entirely consumed by a global struggle over digital market access, tech sovereignty, and free speech. Amid the political posturing and international lobbying, global child welfare experts at organizations like UNICEF are pushing for a completely different approach. Instead of relying on access prohibitions that fracture the internet, they advocate for safety by design. This requires tech companies to fix the toxic interior architecture of their apps rather than locking the front door. This means making tangible changes to the interface itself. It requires dismantling the infinite scroll, turning off addictive algorithmic curation, and enforcing strict privacy defaults for all underage users. Exiling youth from the digital public square is a politically convenient illusion. True protection doesn't come from building higher walls around the internet, but from doing the hard work to make it safe to explore.